The gentlewoman from Pennsylvania, Ms. Lee, is recognized for 60 minutes as the designee of the minority leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I ask for unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and to submit extraneous material into the record.
Without objection.
Thank you. I rise today on behalf of the mothers, fathers, children, sons, daughters, beloved friends, and community members whose livelihoods, dignity, and in some cases, survival is under attack by Republicans in Congress who are threatening to crash our economy if we don't bend to their pro-hunger, anti-family, anti-senior, anti-worker class agenda to pay for handouts for their billionaire donors. Like so many of the folks I proudly represent, I was raised by a single mother in a working class home. When times were tough, we depended on food assistance from SNAP and health care from Medicaid. I became the first in my family to go to college because I received a Pell Grant, and I'm still in hundreds of thousands of dollars in student debt because I had the audacity to attend law school. I'm able to be in Congress uplifting the voices of poor and working class folks in my community and across the country because of the lifelines Republicans are hell-bent on tearing away. So let's not get it twisted. Right now, Republicans are trying to fool you into thinking that they genuinely care about spending. They hurt everyone in their giveaways to the price gougers that fund their campaigns, and they turn around and blame black folks and brown folks and poor folks and immigrants for the mess they created. They claim that if we don't strip away food from the struggling, subsistence from seniors, and earned benefits from the elderly to give billionaires the benefits of a tax break, you and your family will pay the price. They're lying to you, but you deserve the truth. The truth is that this isn't about balancing the budget. This is about attacking working class, middle class, poor, and marginalized Americans to serve themselves and their filthy rich friends. The truth is that if Republicans get their way, in Pennsylvania alone, almost 100,000 women, children, and seniors would lose access to food assistance. Over 15,000 children and parents would lose access to preschool and child care. Housing costs would increase for over 20,000 people already struggling to keep a roof over their heads, and college would get more expensive or out of reach entirely for nearly 200,000 PA students. 310 rail safety inspection days would be cut. Just months after Western Pennsylvania, right next to Ohio, suffered from the train derailment in East Palestine. And half a million Pennsylvanians would be at risk of losing life-saving health care coverage under Medicaid. The truth is that if Republicans don't get their way, they're threatening to default on our nation's bills, crash our economy, and unleash economic catastrophe that would kill at least 7 million jobs, 7,000 in my congressional district alone. They're threatening Medicare, Social Security, and veterans' health coverage for nearly 300,000 people in the 2 counties I represent, threatening to increase lifetime mortgage costs by $37,000, and threatening the retirement savings of 100,000 soon-to-be seniors, eliminating 20,000 from typical retirement portfolio. But this isn't about statistics. This is about people's lives. This is about the single mother who, like mine when I was growing up, is paid wages so low at her multiple jobs that she needs food assistance to make sure her kids don't get on the school bus hungry. This is about the nurse who is in medical debt to the hospital she works for, where the CEO is paid millions of dollars, but she is paid so little, she depends on Medicaid for health care for her and her children. This is about the student who has no choice but to take on so much student debt that they know it'll be impossible to ever pay it off, and might not be able to start a business or buy a home or start a family or build the life they deserve. And it's about the student whose great-grandparents were enslaved, whose today's Republicans are hell-bent on keeping shackled by hundreds of thousands of dollars of student loans to the point where their dreams are becoming the first in their family to go to college will be torn away entirely. This is about the child getting ready to start preschool, whose parents will now have to choose between putting gas in their tank and getting their car repaired, and giving their child the head start we know could determine their future ability to thrive. It's about the moms and dads who want to work but know they won't be able to because this Republican majority wants to raise child care costs that are already so high that it makes more sense to just stay home. It's about your parents who could lose their ability to retire in dignity, and the veteran who could lose access to treatment for PTSD after spending their life serving this country. And it's about our grandparents who won't be able to afford the medication they need to stay alive, to meet their grandchildren if Republicans cause a default. And let's not forget, this is also about the billionaire CEO who is bankrolling the Republican politicians behind this attack on working families to win themselves yet another handout that will be paid for by tearing food and shelter away from all the folks I just described, millions of families just to buy another shiny new yacht or another vacation home or another fat check to those same politicians as a thank you for the favor. By forcing a choice between agreeing to their authoritarian tactics or default, Republicans are erasing the voices of millions of people in this country who oppose default, who oppose economic catastrophe, who oppose tearing away food stamps and health care and Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare. Republicans are using the threat of default to override the will of the majority of the country and bury poor and working class Americans. And we cannot and we will not let them. I now yield to Representative Stansbury.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, I stand before you today to defend the very survival of New Mexicans. Families like my own, working families, who work hard every single day and still struggle to make ends meet, who still struggle to put food on the table, who still struggle to put a roof over their head. Families who depend on vital services and programs like mine that enabled me not only to survive, but to go to school and to stand here today as your Congresswoman. These programs save lives. And yet, the GOP is attempting to hold the entire country, New Mexico, our families, and our economy hostage if we do not gut these vital life-saving programs, or they will tank the economy to achieve their political ends. In return for upholding the full faith and credit of the United States and paying our bills as a nation, right now Republicans are demanding that we cut funding for food, for housing, for tribal programs, for education, and countless other life-saving programs that our families depend on. I am here today with my colleagues from the Progressive Caucus to say that we will stand and we will defend these programs because our families' lives are not bargaining chips in this crusade to cut government programs and services. Their lives and dignity matter. Just 2 weeks ago, I was home in our community and stood with members of our community at the Albuquerque Healthcare for the Homeless Memorial Wall. This wall is covered with tiles with names of members of our community who have been lost to homelessness. Mothers, grandmothers, fathers, children, aunties, and uncles. People who were loved. People who were lost. People whose lives mattered in our community and were lost to the senseless impacts of homelessness. But make no mistake, the programs that the GOP is currently proposing to slash will impact thousands of New Mexicans who are currently facing housing insecurity and millions of lives across this country gutting programs around housing and food insecurity. Families who could face eviction from their homes because they no longer have supports. This includes families with children, our elders, veterans, and those with disabilities. This is not only wrong, it is immoral, because housing is not a luxury. Housing is a fundamental human right. But I also cannot believe that I'm standing here today in defense of veterans programs as well, because the GOP is currently proposing to cut our veterans programs by double digits. These are programs that serve our heroes who have dedicated their lives and put their lives on the front line in the defense of our country, our national security, and the freedoms that all of us enjoy. We not only have a sacred obligation to help and preserve those programs, but to ensure that the countless veterans who have already served our country can access the care that they deserve. These cuts could impact 81,000 healthcare professionals within the VA system. That means putting our nation's heroes' lives at risk and creating even longer lines to see healthcare professionals. That's 30 million less visits, affecting over 60,000 veterans in New Mexico alone. Our veterans bravely served our nation, and it is our responsibility to defend these programs because their care is not up for debate. But Republicans are not only proposing to slash these programs, they're also proposing to cut other health care programs. In fact, more than 60% of New Mexicans depend on the life-saving care that they receive through Medicaid and Medicare or both. If the GOP were successful in putting through these draconian cuts in the Default for America Act, more than 280,000 New Mexicans would be at risk of losing their health insurance, and more than 21 million Americans would be without access to care. But this won't just affect health care. It will affect the ability of our elders to get access to their Social Security. And for all of you out there who are listening, you know how vital those Social Security payments are to making sure that our elders can eat and put a roof over their head, and also because you paid into that system and it is yours. Growing up, my family experienced many of the same challenges that so many countless New Mexicans and Americans struggle with today. The programs that we are talking about that would be gutted through these heartless cuts would not only have affected families like mine and my ability to survive and stand here today, they will affect millions of Americans. And so this is very personal to me. Lifting the debt ceiling should not be a crisis. It has been routine for decades. In fact, under both Republicans and Democrats, we have raised the debt ceiling, we have paid our bills, we have made good on our responsibility and our fiscal responsibilities as a country. It is dangerous to play games with the full faith and credit of our nation and our economy, but it is heartless to propose to gut these programs. As the Congresswoman for New Mexico's 1st Congressional District, I ask my Republican colleagues to consider what these programs mean, the millions of lives that are standing at risk, the millions who will be impacted, those who could lose their housing, the children whose mouths will not be fed. This is what is at stake in this hostage situation, and we will not stand idly by, because we are fighting. Not only fighting for the full faith and credit of the United States and our economy, but for the working families of this country to ensure that we do not balance the budget and make good on our fiscal responsibilities on the backs of working people. Because we were elected to serve our communities and to serve our country. And with that, I yield back.
Thank you. I yield to Representative Garcia.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, I rise today because a couple of months ago, a freight train derailed in my district. Thankfully, the cars that derailed were not carrying any hazardous materials and no one was hurt. And earlier this month, another passenger train derailed nearby as it left the station. 25% of the nation's trains pass through the Chicagoland area, and many of the country's largest freight lines pass through my district. There are children in my district who hop over mile-long trains that block their path to school. So why am I talking about rail safety when we're supposed to be talking about the default? Because in Illinois alone, the Republican Default on America Act would take away more than a year's worth of rail safety inspection days, 470 to be exact. If they get their way, Republicans will make rail more dangerous in my district and across the country. And when accidents happen, communities like mine pay the price. For that reason, and for the many reasons that my colleagues are here to bring up, we continue to reject the Republicans' default plan. Madam Speaker, I yield back.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentlelady yields. Members are reminded to direct their